We need more and more to help people to live because we have a lot of trouble. The world has a lot of trouble. Climate, wars, epidemia, problem of restriction of freedom, etc., etc., and especially for women. And architecture, because we are providing spaces, we are providing places for living, we can help people. Oh yes, there is major change in education. First of all, because the new generation is not at all as we are. They are not the same, they are not thinking the same, they are not educated the same. First of all, they are digital. And at the same time, they are not, as I said, concentrated or memorizing or whatever, doing the same. They are in a new way of thinking, a new way of behaving. And they are in the 21st century. But I'm jealous of this generation, because my generation, we were educated after the middle of the century, and we were living changement also in our generation. But we were pushing the changement that was undergoing. There, the changement has been done, and they have to rethink the world, and they have to recreate the world, they have to redream the world, and they have to be able to build it differently. And this is a fantastic challenge for them. Educating them in their way of thinking and helping them to create a new world and to create a world for everybody. If a country is not able to think like that or to provide that, the country is not helping the citizen. And we need to do that, and every country has to do that. But, and to do that, it's not so complicated. It's just providing new way of providing money for people to rent or to buy a house with mortgage, which are not too much. And rethinking the way to build by recycling, but not only by recycling, but also by building with not so expensive product. And being able, I think that every country has to care about its citizens or their citizens. And this is a shame when the country doesn't do that. And this is, I don't say that it has to be done for free. It has to be done with money, but it has to be done in a social way of thinking. My main advice is always to be curious. Curious about the world. Not curious only about architecture, but curious about the world. Because what you are doing is, well, this is for the world. What you will do, what you will think. And you have to open your eyes and be curious. And to be courageous, to be determined, and to have a bit of talent. Yes, a bit of talent, that means to be able to be creative. But you have to study, to be at school, and school can help you for doing that. But you have to have the possibility of being, in your character, determined to know that this is your belly who is asking that for you. And your brain is following. I had a fantastic teacher when I was a teenager at school. And he was not only teaching me how to draw, but he was giving me and a group of other girls in my school lectures about architecture, sculpture, painting, etc. And a very particular one with his wife, and they were organizing that at home. And thanks to that, I discovered all this part of the world, which is art in general. And, but I didn't know that I could become an architect. Because for me, it was, I was a woman, a young girl, and I started by study history of art. And when I was studying history of art, I met a teacher for history of architecture, and he made me discovering the different buildings that he was writing about. And after that, I met some students in the School of Architecture, and I decided to study architecture. And my father told me that it's not a profession for women. And I decided, I will do it, whatever you say. And And one of my first buildings that he showed me, it was the Opera House in Sydney. That was under finishing in the 70s. And I wanted to go there, whatever. And by chance, after my third year in studying architecture, this teacher that I became friend with him knew one of the architects who worked with John Hudson and was married with a French woman, and he was living in south of France and having his office. And I went to do an internship in his house, surrounded by some drawings and models of the Opera House. And later on, I went to Sydney to visit the Opera House. And it was one of my very strong memory and my first big good memory in architecture. It was the Opera House in Sydney. An adventurer. Yes, because for me, architecture is an adventure, and I want to I always dreamed for discovering the world.